Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Eric. I'm continuing to talk about science fiction movies. Today, I'm going to talk about Innerspace from 1987. Yeah, reflection's not working great there, but yeah, this is a Steven Spielberg presents. So this was produced by Spielberg. It was directed by Joe Dante. Okay, and we'll talk about Dante was on a real hot streak at this time in the mid '80s and into the 1990s. So yes, Innerspace. I've only seen this movie like once or twice. I think I saw it when I was like a kid. I probably saw it, but it had been a long time since I've watched this one. And watching it this time, I looked up Roger Ebert's review. He did back in 1987, and I thought, my thoughts have exactly matched Ebert's on this film. He gave it 3 stars out of 4, and that'd be me. This is a solid 3-star movie from the mid 1980s. It's Dennis Quaid is a star, and Martin Short. Dennis Quaid was a fairly well established star by this time. Just talked about him in Enemy Mine. He did in 1985. And Martin Short, who had been on SCTV, he had been on Saturday Night Live, and was getting into movies now as well. And this was a good role for Martin Short. The premise of this film is partly a throwback to Fantastic Voyage, the sci-fi classic from the 60s, which I reviewed on here, which is about scientists who can shrink themselves and go into the human body. Same concept in this film, only Quaid is a pilot in the military, and he agrees to do this experiment. Just as the experiment's taking place, bad people show up and disrupt the experiment because they want the technology. And there's a big chase scene, and we have Martin Short, who is kind of an everyman, works at a grocery store. He gets injected and has Dennis Quaid injected into him, and that sounded weird, but I guess that's what happens. But yeah, so Dennis Quaid is inside Martin Short's body, right? He's like a little molecule the size of, microscopic size, and he's able to also communicate with Martin Short through there, and that's the premise of the movie. And of course, they have to figure out how to resolve all this. It's partly a comedy. The movie's partly a comedy. There's elements of a thriller to it as well. It's, as I said, it has that sci-fi influence. It also is very much like a Hitchcock movie, where you have Martin Short, who is this everyman. He's a hypochondriac, and he's thrown into this extraordinary situation, and he has to, figure it out and build some confidence to get through this situation. And I do like the dynamic between Quaid and Martin Short, where, Quaid is a confident pilot, and he kind of becomes a good friend to Martin Short, to boost him up and to help him with his confidence. So that was one dynamic in the film that I liked. They really played that off well. Also have Meg Ryan in the film. She was early role for her. She is Dennis Quaid's, I guess, ex or estranged girlfriend in the film, and she gets involved with the plot. And Martin Short kind of develops a crush on her as well, so that's some intrigue happening in the film. And meanwhile, you have the villains, who are kind of drag the movie down a bit. Like, you have Joe Dante's regulars in here. You have Kevin McCarthy, the star of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and he would show up in a lot of Joe Dante movies as like the leader of this group of I guess corporate raiders, corporate pirates, who want to get this technology and exploit it on their own. The plot, we get kind of plot heavy, and the movie feels a little longer than it should be, with all the machinations of how they're trying, what the bad people are up to. It goes on a bit. It just gets more complicated than it needed to be. Robert Picardo, another Joe Dante regular, is is in here. Dick Miller shows up briefly, of course. He's a taxi cab driver in this one, so he shows up. So we see a lot of and others that we associate with Joe Dante films. So overall, I mean, Innerspace is a fun watch. Maybe not one you go back and revisit a lot, but it has. I think Martin Short and Quaid are pretty good. Meg Ryan, she's charming. She does well. It's set in San Francisco. It uses this. I like films that are shot in San Francisco. You have some chase scenes, and it really uses the geography of the city well. So I like that. It's just the only thing is we get a little bogged down in some of the plot mechanics at times, but that would be my main criticism of Innerspace. So. Yeah, and Joe Dante, as I mentioned, he was on a run. He had started working with Roger Corman in the 70s. He had done Piranha and done The Howling, which got a lot of attention. His segment in The Twilight Zone got him, served him well. And then he did Gremlins, which was a huge hit in 1984. Explorers, I talked about that one, which was... not a big hit, but still became kind of a cult movie. But he would keep going after this. He would do Gremlins 2, The New Batch. He would do The Burbs, which is really good. Matinee, a good nostalgic film about the Cold War set in the 60s. Small Soldiers is really good. He did in the late 90s. So Dante just consistently put out good work. And Innerspace is part of that progression of movies. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Innerspace. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye.